Hi, and welcome to our newest live report at VMware Explore 2024. We're still live in Barcelona, and we're just like on Tuesday morning. It's 11:30. I'm here with Frank.
Hi.
Frank, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Great.
Yeah?
Just had a session with you, so what can be better?
I don't know. Maybe 2 sessions with me?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's do that next year.
We'll do that. No, so Frank, we just had a really awesome session. We had I would say a relatively full room. It was a big room, and we talked about something we call VPAVN.
Yeah, VMware Private AI
what's a
Foundation.
VPAVN?
Yeah, so it's called VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a mouthful, so let's
talk
abbreviate
about
that to VPAVN. Yeah.
Right. So we talked about a couple of things. First of all, we kind of covered what VPAVN is, but also we dived into an internal project at ITQ. We ran Project Einstein, in which you have been involved. So let's kind of dive into Project Einstein first. So basically, question to you: I know what it is, but looking at the solution that we built, and you are really focusing on that from a Broadcom perspective. So what is it that we built, and how have we seen customers benefit from it?
Yeah, so what I understand of Einstein is that you have accumulated a lot of internal knowledge, a lot of knowledge about the services that you deliver, and you want to share that with all your employees in a easy way, in an easy consumable way, and a systematical way. And together with VPAVN and your platform, we created this service where your employees or your customers internally can basically consume that and interact with that data using normal natural language.
So how do you see the same solution running? Well, that's what we do, right? So you see the same solution at customers. What are typical use cases you see at customers when it comes to this platform?
So there is no typical use case, right? And everybody's different. But in general, we're talking about customers having private data, having what you call the crown jewels within the session, and they don't want to expose that to a cloud service. They don't want to basically show that to anybody else. We did that internally as well with our safe coder. We identified 10x coders, like the best engineers possible. We looked at their source code, we trained a model on it, we fine-tuned that model, and then we exposed that model to all the other developers. Now the reason we did that privately is we're not going to expose our source code to Google or to AWS. That's madness, right? And so that's our use case. But for a insurance company, that can be particular documents, that can be particular policies. For a financial institution, that's their risk analysis, that's their algorithms, all of these things. But you want to have the capability of interacting with that with natural language, what we've used to love with ChatGPT, for example. And that's something we do and you did with Einstein. And I think that's a brilliant way of capturing your knowledge and exposing it to everybody else.
Yeah, and I think that's like the story we told during this session really reflected well with the audience. They had a ton of really good questions afterwards, and we saw a lot of engagement. Yeah. Now, one thing we announced today, and I'm really proud of it we announced it this week, but we talked about it in the session. I'm proud of it because we worked on it with a team within ITQ, but you were heavily involved in it as well, is that we launched our very first service in a portfolio of VPAV services that we build our practice out of. Yep. And that was one of the goals of Project Einstein. We wanted to build a practice out of the learnings we got and help customers really kickstart their AI journey. So let's talk about the service. One thing that really highlighted in our session was that it is relatively simple to kind of build a AI platform based on a commercial solution. We showed in the session that what challenge we faced if we do it ourselves. And we took that learnings out of basically the do-it-yourself scenario, but also out of the VPAV scenario, and build a service out of that. Well, you helped with creating the service. What's kind of your take on what we crafted so far?
So the interesting thing, what you did was, what is interesting for other people is you did it in a standardized way. You did it in a way that you can easily replicate it in your own organization, but also with other customers, right? In a way that allows you to consistently get that performance you need, get that knowledge you need. And the way you did it was, you started off like years ago by inventing it itself, right? Inventing all the solutions themselves. But then you basically switched over to common components in a way that allows you to easily implement that in another organization. And I think that's the key with your POC service, is that there's a lot of customers that want to do AI, they have no idea where to start, right? And for you as ITQ to be that connective tissue, to allow customers to say, okay, I have this use case, help me get started. You run the POC, you help them understand their use case better with the technology and show them the way. I think that is key. That is very important.
Yeah, and one of the things that you mentioned just now was really interesting as well. There's no typical use case, and that's also one thing we focus on. So, of course, there are a lot of conversations about Gen AI nowadays, and that's also what we target the platform to run. But we have customers running deep learning workloads doing computer vision, so video analytics. We have customers doing fraud detection, or like even traditional ML.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is also where your knowledge and the work that you and the Broadcom team did to support us in building this really showed out. Like, we have a full blueprint now to build, deploy, to help the customer make the right decisions as well. What type of model to use? Like, am I going to go for a smaller model or a bigger model? We have different types of models being created by either Meta or Google or whatsoever. We are interrupted, so we're live, and Frank is constantly interrupted by a fly. Yeah. But yeah, it's just really awesome to see also how the entire private cloud vision now comes together, with not just a VCF platform that is capable of spinning up a private cloud simply and easily, but also the ARIA suite that's on top of that to automate some processes, to quickly spin up something we call a deep learning VM.
Yeah.
What is a deep learning VM?
So a deep learning VM is a structured way of actually implementing a solution in a virtual machine that is aligned with the infrastructure underneath. What I mean by that is, you have a GPU inside a virtual machine, but that GPU has two drivers. Driver in the virtual machine, a driver in the ESXi host. You want to align that. So the moment we spin up a deep learning VM, we install particular components that are necessary for the data scientists to actually do their work. So think about Python, think about particular GPU settings, think about Conda, Docker, and what we do is, when we start up, we actually identify the driver in the ESXi host, and we download the appropriate driver in the virtual machine. So you get that consistent performance in a supportive way throughout your organization, right? And you can do that in addition to what's called a NIM, a NeMo or an NVIDIA inference microservice. Similar to a DLVM, it's a container with pre-configured components, like a ML framework, like a inference service, and with an optimized model based on the GPU that we attach to the virtual machine or to an AI Kubernetes cluster.
Yeah, I think that's also really cool. We had, in the past, we had challenges with data scientists or AI practitioners in general, just wanted to request a workload. Really simply, really fast to spin up something.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to do that because it was always cumbersome to request the machine, maybe physical, maybe virtual, to build it up. So I think this also really shows the potential of the platform.
Yeah.
And the private cloud specifically for AI in general. So
yeah, and what you said in doing, or the session that you're going to present tomorrow with Robert, you're testing out different models,
yeah,
right? So you want to do A/B testing in a very rapid but consistent manner. So that's where you want to have the DLVMs, right?
Yeah.
Or you want to have an AI Kubernetes cluster. You want to have a consistent platform that you can easily spin up, just download the model, run the model, get your analysis done, and basically shut it down.
Yeah.
Instead of going install a virtual machine, doing all these particular driver installments and those libraries and figure out that they're not aligned and do all that stuff. Fast A/B testing is critical for data scientists. And together with the VCF platform, together with DRS, together with all the scheduling, we'll make it happen for the data scientists.
You know, there's something really cool that you mentioned, and that's if you put all of the work into building a deep learning VM like yourself, you don't have the deep learning VM capabilities of VCF, then quite often such a VM is treated as a pet.
Yes.
Versus kettle.
Yes.
And if you are an AI practitioner, you need access to a GPU or to a VM that has those GPU capabilities. And you spend, I don't know, a couple of days on getting that to work. You'll be kind of resistant to give that VM
away. Yeah.
Whereas if you just spin it up using a self-service workflow, you have access to the GPU capabilities in, I don't know, a matter of minutes. You'll probably give it away as soon as your workload is done as well.
Because you know you can get that infrastructure or that environment back quite easily. The other thing is for the infrastructure people, you immediately have the data scientists perform.
Yeah.
They can immediately run it and analyze it. Whereas in the previous days, they had to build it up themselves because they had specific knowledge. A typical infrastructure administrator doesn't have the knowledge of all these libraries, right?
No.
And they shouldn't be, because they have other things to do,
yeah.
right? So with this, it's an instant environment where they can spin up and consume the infrastructure as efficiently as possible. And thus, like you said, shut it down, and whenever they need, they can get it up. So you get a better overall consumption of your platform.
Thanks so much, man. So,
thanks.
We're on the the first real day of Explore.
Yep.
So yesterday was partner day, but we still have a ton of sessions ahead. We're live. So any shameless plugs when it comes to other sessions you want to
Shameless? Well, of course, I've got 2 sessions tomorrow. One, run AI on CPUs instead of GPUs with Will Rodbert.
Nice.
Awesome stuff. And I have a session with Justin Murray.
Ooh, the voice of Broadcom.
Exactly. And Justin and I will go through a RAG pipeline, and now we will actually build up your knowledge from the ground to a deep dive. Now, the other one that I want to shout out, other than your sessions, of course, is the one with Chris Wolf and Dilpreet.
Ooh, yes.
They talk about the stuff that we've been working on for VCF 9. So tomorrow is AI day. If you look at the schedule, it's primarily AI session. So there's so much things to choose from. So what's your session?
Yeah, so it's I have 2 sessions still left. Today I'm going to talk about running AI workloads in a home lab, which doesn't necessarily need GPUs. And I'm going to show something completely different. So it's a deep learning workload doing computer vision on a cluster of Jetsons, like Raspberry Pis on steroids.
Nice.
So that's going to be cool. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about the POC service that we built together with Robert Kloosterhuis. We basically dive into the platform aspects of it. So we'll talk about VCF, how to build it up, and how to configure it in a way that you can set the next step, which is build the entire AI enterprise platform, including a RAG application. So.
And I heard you actually deployed a 405 billion model, right?
No, I tested the 405 model, which is completely different. And I'm going to explain why. For us, it was quite hard to deploy it on-prem.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Cool. So thanks so much.
Thanks.
If you want to know more about AI, be sure to check the sessions that Frank just showed. Follow us on our socials. I heard a rumor this week from him that we might go into our ITQ studio in the upcoming months and do some deep dives on the stuff that we have presented this week. So extremely looking forward to that. For now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.